Hey guys, it's your girl Boonie, and you're listening to episode 59 of the Boonie Breakdown podcast. The podcast where we sometimes cry, we always laugh, we might get a bit ratchet, but we're forever gonna break it down. This week, there is no guests. You have quality time with your girl Boonie. It's a solo episode, so you know that means story time with me. I may get a bit deep on this episode. Maybe. I'm not sure how to go once I start telling my story time. You guys know I go on tangents and shit, so we'll see. But it is solo, no guest on this one, and it should be a fairly quick episode so you can reclaim some of your time this week. No hour-long episode, okay? Okay, so I just want to dig right into my Boonies pick of the week this week. And if you follow me on Instagram, so go ahead and just grab your phone and go over to the Boonie Breakdown on Instagram. Because I'm not sure why you aren't following me yet. Okay, so go ahead and follow me. If you are following me, you saw this past weekend that I attended a book launch party / live podcast recording. And so my Boonies pick of the week this week is my fellow Baltimore podcaster, Candace Green. She is in charge of the entire Cherished flight brand. She does blogging. She has an amazing podcast, and she calls her like community the Peace Collective, which I love. But you know how some people, like, you just can't trust their temperament and the things that they're trying to peddle to you. It doesn't feel like Candace is peddling anything at all, and it's truly authentic. I love the messaging. I love her branding. It's funny, we use the same person for our branding, so check out Branding by Brandy if you need someone to help you with branding your business, okay? But I just love like her little peace breaks, and it's hashtag peace break. And she does, I think she's on like episode 75 or 77. She's up there in her podcasting game, but she's just one of the most authentic, sweetest, nicest people. And so I feel like if you need to get a little peace in your life to help you breathe, take a moment to reflect, then you need to be following Cherished Flight. Her episodes are really short. They're not anything long, but it's just like really the perfect peace break. And that's her hashtag. She also dropped her book, Inhale Peace, a 31-day journey to realign with God's peace. And so I did grab the book. I can't wait to dig into it. I said I was going to start it well, you know what? At her event, she said, you'll know when the right time to start it. And I wholeheartedly believe in that. Okay. And so I think when the time is right, I will dig into it. But I say that I will link in the show notes where you can follow her great website. If you just want to go right now, cherishedflight.com. You can order the book on there. You can find where to follow her on social media. You can find where her podcast is. But I love supporting local, so you know, the Baltimore connection, but also supporting fellow Black podcasters and people just out here doing amazing work. It's enough space, and it's everyone has their own lane for everyone to make their own mark. And it's no reason for anyone to be jealous. You don't want to uplift somebody because you're doing your own thing. Candace and I, although we are doing podcasting, we have two very different lanes, and it was thrilling and exciting to support her and watch her do her thing this weekend at her live show. And I already know she brought a ticket to come to mine. So this is what I'm talking about, building community and just supporting each other. So I hope that you're inspired to go check out Candace and join her Peace Collective. Again, I will link her website and podcast in the show notes. All right, so let's get into this housekeeping for the week, okay? You guys know we're winding down on season 3 of the Boonie Breakdown. There are only 2 more episodes left after this. Season 4 will kick off on Monday, July 2nd, okay? Mark your calendar. There'll be no new episodes in the month of June. I just want to keep reiterating this so we know. July 2nd is when the new episodes will pick back up. Already started reaching out, already started recording some interviews for that. So I think we're going to have another great season on our hands. Also, where you can see Boonie. All right. I have 2 upcoming events. The first one is actually in a week. On Sunday, May 20th, we're hosting the Perfect Breakdown Yoga Wind Down. That's in collaboration with Kim of Pish Posh Perfect. I will link to the link to get your tickets. Join us. It really, the last time we did it, it was just such a great group of women. The energy was amazing, and it's just really the perfect way to wind down. And then in this case, to kind of center yourself before the start of another busy week. So hope you can join us. Link in the show notes. And guys, you know, June 23rd, Baltimore, Maryland, the Boonie Breakdown Live at Motor House, Baltimore. I'm telling y'all, last time I told you I was 15 tickets left. Now we're in the single digits. We're going to sell out. I would love to sell out a month before the show, right? That would be so awesome. So many great surprises. Because I haven't even told you guys anything that's going to happen or what you're going to get. If you're going to get anything, who knows? But some really great things. And I love that you guys support it and purchase tickets without really knowing. All you know is you're just going to see me. It's going to be some giveaways and special guests. That's all you really know. And you guys brought the tickets, which is so amazing to me. So again, it's only single digits left, right? So that means it's 9 or less tickets left. And so you should head on over to theboonieBreakdown.com/live. Link is also in the show notes if you want to scoop one of those last few tickets to the show. Also, you guys know I love it when you leave a rating and review in Apple Podcast. Also, you can leave a rating on our Facebook page, The Boonie Breakdown. That's where we are on Facebook. It helps me. You know the deal already. It helps me to reach more people. If people are checking us out, they can read what listeners, people who love the show, have to say. So go ahead, leave those ratings and reviews. You guys know to follow us on social media. On Twitter, we are Boonie Breakdown. On Facebook and Instagram, The Boonie Breakdown. When you're sharing the episode, if you could share it with a link, that would be bomb.com. Also use the hashtags The Boonie Breakdown, hashtag PODIN, PODIN. So that is it for my ask of you. Let's get into story time and let's get ready to break it down. All right, guys, so let's get into this story time. I felt like the last time I did a solo episode, it wasn't story time, but it was more so my rants and randomness and everything that was just on my brain. And I realized, today I'm recording this on Mother's Day, and it got me to thinking, like, what did I want to do for this solo episode? I wasn't sure. And so I'm waiting to the last goddamn minute to record this. And I thought of a great way for me to do a follow-up to some previous story times with Boonie. And so now I'm kind of thinking, like, is this really a story? I don't know. But maybe it's more of a follow-up journal entry type episode. And so if you remember about almost a year ago, I think it was last July, I did episode 22 called Let It Go. And it was a very emotional episode. Well, part of it was very emotional. And I kind of talked about how I was not ready to become the rock of my family after the matriarch of my family, my grandmother, who I love dearly and miss dearly, passed. And somehow that stability and becoming the rock skipped a generation, skipped over my mom, and somehow it became on me. And I just talked about the burden and how it was too much. And I even cried on the podcast. And I used the analogy that I felt like someone had pushed me off a bridge into some type of body of water. And I had a concrete block that was tied with a rope to my ankle. And no matter how much I tried and was doing the work to pedal and push my way and swim and fight my way to the top, I just could not get there, no matter what I did. And I knew in order to get up, to get afloat, to breathe, stop panicking. All I had to do was to cut this rope, but I couldn't do it. Okay. Because the burden, it's family. I couldn't cut that rope. And I knew once I cut it, I would drop all this weight and I would just be able to just like float right to the top and breathe and rest and be calm and not living in this like kind of this duality of chaos and being calm and strong at the same time. Right. So that was in that episode. So if you have not listened to it, I encourage you to go back to listen to episode 22. And then in episode, kind of the season trailer for season 3, episode 44, entitled Boonie's Back, I shared the story of the bitch is dead, the bird. So this is kind of a funnier story where on you go back and listen to this episode too. It's really short, like 20 minutes. But I share a story about how earlier this year in January, a bird somehow entered my home and long story short, it drowned in the toilet. Okay. And so I Googled to find out what it meant when a bird entered your home and what happens when you encounter a dead bird. And pretty much it was like an omen from the Ozarks that says like, it's it could be the spirit of a loved one, a deceased person trying to tell you and send you a message. And it also said like a dead bird sometimes in the tarot cards represents death, but don't take it in the literal sense of someone's dying. But this is the end of a struggle. Things are about to change. It's going to be a new birth, a new light, right? And so as I was planning this episode, I started thinking back to both of those episodes. And I went back and listened to them both. Now, sidebar, thank God for growth. This podcast has grown so much and it just sounds so, these newer episodes just sound so much better than some of my older episodes. So that listening to episode 22 was like, oh child, you could have edited that. You could have smoothed that sound out a bit, but I digress. Okay. And so I do think you should go back and listen to both episode 22 and episode 44. And now I'm just looking like, shit, the numerology of that, the 2244, they're both even numbers, 2 divided by 4. Okay. Let me stop. But I'm looking at the numerology of those 2 episodes. However, it doesn't match with this one because it's 59, but whatever. And I just thought about where I am now. And I just kept coming back to those 2 episodes because especially with episode 22, I was not feeling my best. I mean, what kind of analogy is that you feel like someone pushed you off a bridge and you have a fucking concrete block pulling you down and you can't cut the cord. You can't, because that means the demise of so many people that you love. And here I am almost a year later from that episode. And I was sharing with a friend that I'm in like such a completely different space, mentally and emotionally, to the point that I had stopped taking therapy for a second because I was going to therapy with my mom. And I could not handle the emotional toll of doing therapy on myself, doing the work on myself, and doing the work with my mother, right? And it wasn't a bad thing. I had shared in episode 44, my mom has been living with me after a tough financial time, but it became more than just living with me. It had become a crutch, and I just didn't have the capacity to do the emotional healing work on myself while I was doing co-therapy with my mom. And I was sharing with a friend recently that I feel like I need to start back solo therapy now because it's so many emotions and so much movement and so many great things happening around me that I need to give myself the tools to make sure I don't sabotage what's happening. Okay? Do you feel me on that? Like, I will share, my mom is moving out, right? She's finally comfortable. The bird sent the message. She received it. And so it is the end of kind of a little bit of codependency where she's feeling strong, enabled, empowered enough that she can move back out on her own, which is amazing to me because now, I got a little boo thing and I want to get my back blown out in my own goddamn house sometimes, right? And so this is great. Mama's moving out. I can get freak nasty in my house again, right? So it's great. So it's like, okay, that's happening. Mom is going out, spreading her wings. I got this little budding thing with this boo, and I don't know what that's going to be. The podcast is doing amazing. I just mentioned I'm about to sell out my first live show that I didn't even want to do because it was terrifying to me. In the real world, 9 to 5, possibilities of a new job. It's just so many amazing things. People around me are flourishing. My brain trust, everyone's doing amazing things. People around me are getting promotions, learning new things. And sometimes it's like we don't even give ourselves the space to acknowledge that this is okay to have like a really good time in life. Because we always are waiting for the other shoe to fall. And so that's what I mean about not sabotaging myself. Because I'm so used to being so strong and holding so many things, holding cinder blocks tied to my leg and still somehow appearing to be thriving really well to the outside world. That it's like, I don't want to do things because that had become my norm. And if this is the cycle that I want to live in, I want to continue to flourish in, that's kind of where I'm, not struggling, but that's where I want to stay. So I want to go back to therapy to make sure that I'm equipped enough to continue to experience this growth. These are the things you asked for, Adrian, right? And here they are coming to you. And I did not expect them to all happen at one time like this. Because I know my cynicism sometimes blocks me from enjoying the good in life because I just much rather avoid things, right? So I'll rather avoid it, but in the same time of avoiding trying to stop bad things from happening to you, I've also shut out allowing some good things to happen to me. And so for all of this to be happening at one time, it's so much good energy. It's a bit overwhelming, right? And so I don't want the feeling of being overwhelmed by good things to cause me to be counterproductive and do something destructive. And so I am thankful that the universe is giving me this breathing space and a time to enjoy the things that are happening around me, enjoying the people who are in my life and rooting for the people who are in my life and who support me every day in every kind of way that I could imagine. And I think it's something to be said about having an amazing support system, because over the last year, it's times where I've texted people and said, you know what, this doesn't feel right. I don't feel right. It's too much. This is what I want. And I would be foolish not to thank them for pouring into me and pushing me. And even you guys who listen to the podcast, you guys send such incredible messages to me. Especially when I was thinking about doing the live show before it became a reality, and you guys are doing it, I'll be there. And those of you who want to be there and can't because you are far from Baltimore, or you have something scheduled for that day already, know that even you wanting to be there, but physically you cannot, it means the world to me. And I really just think some of y'all, I really hope and pray that everyone listening has the same incredible support system in their lives that I am blessed and fortunate enough to have in mine. And I even think back to, you guys know KG. Whenever I'm trying to retreat from something, he's always like, new year, new shit. Like, that's what you said. And so even that simple reminder from someone, it means so much to me. And I could sit here and name so many people who I know personally who've done some type of small act in supporting. And even when you do the repost and this was funny, or let me share this image to my Insta Snap, I don't take any of those for granted, because that's how the universe has gotten me to this point where I can feel overwhelmed and overjoyed by amazing things that are happening, and not beat up and feel like I'm drowning and can't get out. Okay. So that's my kiss to you guys for helping and supporting. And I'm going to digress one more time, because I've gotten this question a lot. And then I saw this bullshit ass meme on Instagram. I'm actually probably going to do a blog post about the meme. But you guys know I interchange universe and God quite frequently, right? And for me, they're the same. Like, I'm not saying the universe in place of God, or placing the universe higher than God. But in my mind, it's like, if you're saying God created the universe and then God is within everything that he created, then the universe is God, right? So that's just my thinking. I know I got a few messages about people who said that, or I've had people tag me into shit being like, you can't say the universe, because don't tag me in no more of that dumb shit, okay? I don't stop you from praising the Lord, so don't try to change my vocabulary for how I choose to believe and how I choose to give thanks to the universe and give thanks to God. Okay? So that's just like a Boonie PSA there. Do what the fuck you gonna do, and let other people do what the fuck they gonna do. Okay? Simple as fucking that. I just don't understand these declarations of this is right and this is wrong. Well, it's wrong because that's what you choose to believe in. All right. And it's not what I choose to subscribe to. So we cool on that? All right. Yeah. So, back to the update. So yes, these are all the great things that are happening, and I will be going back to therapy. So it is on my to-do list, so I can stay in this great space and capitalize on it. It's amazing how more energy you have, and how more I don't want to say complete, but it's just like you feel different when you're operating in a space of love and growth, right? And not in a space of chaos and survival mode, essentially. That survival mode will beat your ass up, because you're constantly in the way your body responds. It's stress, and stress creates all these bad hormones within your body, and that is probably also one of the reasons why I've gained a lot of weight during this time, because I was constantly stressed and in survival mode and not really getting a chance to breathe and live life. And so, yeah, I'm sorry for kind of coming off a little bit preachy, and I hope that's not how it comes off. But I'm really just sharing my truth and my story and what's happening here. And I read something that was like, when you're uncomfortable and you're in a state of discomfort, you can't push through by contracting and hiding, right? The only way you can push through discomfort is by expanding and living your life. And I feel like that's what happened to me. So when I look back at episode 22, where I was weeping because I was overwhelmed and I just wanted to shrink, and to stop, to stop pretty much doing a lot of the things that I was doing because it was too much. But instead, I let the universe kind of do what it's going to do. And at the same time, I did the work. I pushed through. um, I pushed through and I confronted some of the things that were scary to me. Right. And look where it is now. Now, not to say all is resolved, but also it goes to show how long you have to do the work to end up reaping the benefits. It wasn't like after that episode aired, I shared in an episode, I had difficult conversations with people. It wasn't immediate. Like I had this conversation and then mom was like, you know what? I'm moving out and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It's not how it worked. It still took another 10, 11 months for it to kind of get to this part where we have some forward movement. So it was like still in that time, just having the faith, doing the work, and knowing that we would get to this point. I think that's also one of the messages I received in this whole journey is that we do live in a world, sadly, where we want everything to be instant gratification. Oh, because I ate one fucking kale salad, now when I stand on the scale, it's going to be 20 pounds lighter, right? Unfortunately, it's not how it works. But it's like, okay, if I eat 7 kale salads and I work out 5 times a week and I do that consistently with a positive attitude, that maybe in 20 weeks when I stand on the scale, I'll see some type of movement. Or maybe within 20 days, my jeans feel looser. I ain't have to shake stand, drop the booty in them, wiggle a little bit, and then pull it up for my jeans to fit. I just stepped into them, pulled them up, and bam, there we were. And so that is the lesson, is that sometimes these journeys take a while. It's not going to be as soon as you correct the behavior that everything changes immediately. It's a lot of forces at play, and I am grateful that I received the message. I'm also kind of grateful that, going back to that analogy of having the cinder block tied to my ankle with a rope, I'm also glad that I didn't have to necessarily cut the cord fully myself. I received some help in untying it from my ankle. And I feel like that has also played a humongous part in where I am today now, is that it just wasn't me cutting the cord and letting the chips fall as they may. I took appropriate not action items, but I took appropriate steps along the way that allowed someone else and others, it allowed a few people to help me cut the cord. Okay. And it just wasn't me not being callous. It wasn't me being a true Sagittarius and say, fuck all y'all bitches, and just did it myself. Because I can do that too. And so I think that was a big lesson and a big takeaway for me, is that, Adrienne, you will need the help of other people, no matter how strong and how amazing you are. And you are, that you are going to need the help of others sometime. And so, yeah, I just feel like I'm happy that a year later, I sound lighter. I let all the shit go. Some shit is still falling. But it is forward movement. And I think that is the key for me, is that things are moving forward. And I checked myself. Sometimes you're wrong too. And so things always happen in God's time, in the universe's time, when they should. And I kind of feel like a few of the things I forced it and just played a reactive role and not being proactive and just let the chips fall as they may last year, this would be completely different space I would be in. And I don't think I would be as happy or as excited about what's happening. I think it probably would have honestly made things worse. And so, yeah, I think that's all. So the healing process is amazing when you can allow it to be amazing. And I just think, once you take account of how long you've been holding on to shit, why you've been holding on to shit, and why you can't carry the shit no longer, I think that's when you'll be able to truly heal and move in light and move in love to the place and to the life that you deserve and you've been asking of the universe. And so, I'm gonna take my preachy hat off. And I thank you for listening to this journal entry. Again, I don't think it was necessarily story time because it was no true stories like in episode 22 and episode 44. But I think this was a good time for me to circle back and kind of tie up some loose ends or some updates. Some of you might have been thinking, whatever happened to when she said she was crying in a car on Snapchat? Look, in a year, I don't even use Snapchat no more. Look how much changes in a year, right? And so that is my update. And before I wrap it up, I found this amazing life hack. Someone that I started following on Instagram, Liana Naima, I want to say is her name. But I have very vivid dreams sometimes. And you always want to write them down, but then you forget, and then you forget pieces, and you're like, fuck, I should have written this dream down. And so what her life hack was, she was just like, your spirit guides send you messages through your dreams, right? And you always need to record any significant signs so you can make sense of the messages that you're receiving in your dreams, which is why you should record dreams, especially when they're so vivid, or you see something like, oh my God, I just had this dream where I was constantly falling. And every time I stood up, I fell and I fell and I fell, whatever, like some type of thematic theme like that. And her amazing life hack is, if you can't get into the habit of writing your dreams down, then in the morning, do a voice memo, because the first thing most of us do anyway is fucking grab our phones. And so if you grab your phone, open your voice memo app and record your dream and then save it, like put the date and be like, May 13th, unicorn. Right. And then you can start to see if you have these reoccurring dreams, because I've had a reoccurring dream. Well, I haven't had it in a while. My grandmother's been deceased for almost 7 years now. But I had a reoccurring dream with my grandmother in it from first grade up until a month after she passed in 2011. So that was like almost 20 years, from 1991 to 2011. It was the same dream. It would end in this, everything would happen exactly the same. It would end in the same exact spot. And the dream never finished until a month after she died. And since I had that last dream in July of 2011, I've never had that dream again. Right. And so these are the things, this is why I write down my dreams. So, which I've gotten really lax on it, but I love, love, love the voice memo idea. Like, how great is that? Because the first thing you do, you pick up your phone and go on social media. So when you have a dream, pick up your phone, open the voice memo, and record your voice of your reenactment of your dream, right? So I thought, as I was doing the work on healing myself and moving forward through this difficult journey, that was one key life hack that I was like, oh my God, I have to share with my Boonie Breakdown listeners. So do it. You'll love it. And yeah. Oh, and my last thing. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm doing this in real time. I did have an outline, okay? But I guess my last thing, and I had shared this with someone. I think I retweeted it on my Twitter. But it was just like, and I had mentioned this earlier, is that I worked really hard to protect myself from bad things happening to me as much as I can. And you can't do that, right? But by doing so, you block out your ability to receive all the good too. If you're just working so hard to make sure bad things don't happen, then you're obviously going to block out the good things too. And I feel like over this last year, by doing the work, removing some of the clutter, being uncomfortable, being stretched, being pulled, feeling like I couldn't breathe at times, is that it's allowed some of my walls to fall down because I lost the fight to even try to be this hard. And it was like, fuck, life was just like, you gonna let all this shit go. And I'm gonna keep teaching you a lesson until you let the shit go. And then I let it go. But I think also in letting it go, it prepared me to be a little more gentle with myself because I'm hard. I'm hard on people and I'm even harder on myself. And I think this is my next steps too when I go back to therapy, is that I want to learn how to value affection, being wanted, not needed, because I've gotten so used to being needed that I forgot what it's like to be wanted. And also ways to develop and value intimacy again. Because I go into that survival mode when people, I feel like they're going to hurt me, I will cut you the fuck off and I will run away to protect myself. But now I'm in this place where I'm feeling new things, new emotions, and it's uncomfortable for me, but it's exciting at the same time. So it's like, how can I work now that all of these, I let all that fucking shit go that I had been carrying for so long. It's like, how do I break through the uncomfortableness to allow myself to really enjoy it? And so that is what I will leave you all with. Yeah, you gotta do the fucking work. And sometimes that work fucking sucks. But on the other end, it feels so fucking good. So I let it go, y'all. So that is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed story time with Boonie and listening to my innermost thoughts. And, share with me if you've done any work recently where you felt like, it was all worth it. It wasn't worth it. Why the fuck did I put myself through this? I would love, love, love to hear what you guys have to say. And so thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to go back and listen to past episodes, especially episode 22 and 44, and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play, or any app that you listen to your favorite podcast on. Don't forget to leave a review too. You might just hear your review on the next episode. Follow us on social media. Share the episode with those you love, those you don't love, those you fucking hate. I don't make those pretty images and audiograms for nothing. So have a dope ass week. Move in light, move in love. Let that shit fucking go. Thank you for listening. Until next time.